I'm going to show you how to achieve popping a watercolour painting onto a normal blank card. This is called float mounting. So these cards I've got for very good value. They are a hammered textured finish and I got 50 for £7.99 off Amazon. I'll pop the link in the description. The advantage of this is it's loads cheaper than watercolour cards. It also means you can use the paper that you're used to. So I use Saunders Waterford paper to do my little paintings, and it's what I'm used to, and then I tear down and I'm going to show you how to float mount. I'm not a crafter, I'm doing my best here and it seems to be working quite well. So what you will need is a piece of scrap paper to work on with some glue, and I'm just going to show you. So this one I've tore right the way down. I've done another video which I'll pop at the end on how to tear down paper into small bits so you get this nice deckled edge, but this is just showing you that you can take it down further if you want to. So you need about 1 centimetre or at least 3/4 of a centimetre to be able to do it, and a ruler, and I'm just pulling that edge. So I've basically taken the whole of the border off my little sheep Christmas picture. Then I've got a little bit of leftover wrapping paper. Any sort of paper or coloured paper works great. And you're going to cut it so you've got a border here. So I have the advantage of having a little guillotine, which I got off Amazon years and years ago. So I manage to do a straight edge, but you can do it carefully with scissors as well. And that's then going to fit onto your card. So these cards are 5 inches by 5 inches. And you can see that that's going to all place together. So if you've got any glue will do. I can't find the Pritt stick this morning, so I'm having to use a spray glue, which is actually going to be a bit harder, but I'm just going to spray this over. It's the joys of having children and things just disappear. It's the Pritt stick this week. So I've got my nice piece of wrapping paper. I'm going to place this centrally, so I've got about an equal border all the way around, and then just pop that down. Then I'm going to do the same, give the glue a bit of a shake. As I say, Pritt stick or any sort of stick glue would be much easier. PVA you could use, but it will dampen it slightly. I'm going to move that piece of paper out of the way, and then what you don't want to, the PVA will dampen it slightly, the wrapping paper, and it'll make it harder to stick down. So a dry glue stick is probably your best bet. And then I'm just going to pop that on. You can see that's perfectly lined up. It's nice and flat, looks really pretty. It's nice if you can choose a colour that's within the picture. I've got a few scraps of paper. I tend to keep stuff like this, and then I can get it out and I can lay my painting on. And then the last thing you should do is you should always sign your work, because you've got a little hand painted card here. So what I tend to do is sign in a bottom corner, either the left or the right. I'm using my silver pen and I just do my initials there. So it's a really affordable way for you to create cards, and actually these cards are much better quality than I thought they would be, and I think you could get away with putting pen and wash on quite easily onto the card as well. Okay. So this one, I've trimmed it down neater and I put it on a bigger border of a blue complementary paper, so that's a little bit different. So these are all different ideas. This one I've left fairly big, and then I've come quite big with the border, so it hasn't really got much else of the card behind, so it's just float mounted onto the colourful card. Again, a complementary colour. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is, if you say to me, well, I haven't got any bits of card or any bits of paper lying around, then you can paint a border. So you can do it this way. So I found some silver ink, but you could equally use watercolour to do this. So I've got an old acrylic brush here and some silver ink. Just going to give it a little bit of a stir because it's sat a while. This is drawing ink by Winsor & Newton. And what I've done is I've taped off a little white border with a bit of masking tape or framing tape or low tack tape. And then I'm just going to paint a border on. Now it doesn't have to be neat, because the tape is doing the job of neatness, hopefully. It might all go wrong. And then the card is going to sit, or our little design is going to sit in the middle. So you don't have to worry about the neatness of the inside edge either. You're just going to get a nice even coat of the silver on, or whatever colour you decide to use. You could just use watercolour if you wanted to. So I'm going to let that dry. Okay, so this is nicely dry, so I'm going to just very carefully now peel this off. Now, if you find that it sticks, then the best thing to do is to heat it with a little bit of the hairdryer. I've just used the hairdryer just to make sure that this is coming off nice and easily. And you're going to get this lovely neat edge. There we go, so we've got this nice neat edge here. And then this is going to place onto here. Okay, so I've moved the card out of the way. We've got spray glue or Pritt stick. Pop some of that on there. And just move this piece of paper out of the way. Bring that back here. And I want to place it as centrally as I can. So I've trimmed this one down a little bit. So I've got more of a border on that one. You can see it still looks absolutely beautiful. So you actually don't need to have the paper to do this. You can just do it with a bit of paint or a bit of ink. I'm just going to sign the corner there. So we've got lots and lots of beautiful cards here.